before we get on to other matters, if we could just quickly look at your team news, any changes, any fresh injuries, or anybody returning?
Yannick is available again. So obviously he had a bit of a stutter with his ankle when we thought he was he did return, but on his first day back he had a little bit of a setback. But no, he's back with the group. So good to have him back. Obviously experienced player, and we'll see what's what in terms of availability for the games.
Are you any clearer on the extent of the injury to Victor Christenson?
Yeah, he's it's not as bad as we'd hoped. It is a muscle injury to the groin, and sometimes they can take a long time to recover, and other times from a scan it can be less than which you hope for, less than what it can be. So it's going to be a little while, but it's at least it's going to be sort of days and weeks as opposed to longer than that. So we feared a little bit the worst really in terms of groin and muscle injuries, but the scan proved that it could have been worse than what it is.
Well, you're facing a Manchester United side, the first side to play them without Eric Ten Hag. What was your reaction to yesterday's news?
Yeah, I heard when we came back in off the training pitch yesterday. It's always whatever level you work at as a manager, it's a demanding job, and the highs and lows are as extreme as it gets really. So you always sort of applaud managers when they do well, and you always sort of feel for them when there's criticism, and obviously when they lose the job as well, and that's how I will feel about Eric and any manager really that loses their job. It's never nice to see, because when you do it yourself, you know how hard it can be and how emotional it can be. So obviously it's a very, very high profile job at a huge club, and maybe the scrutiny is even more, but the emotion of what he would have been feeling is the same as us all. So never nice to see, but at the same time wish him well, and I'm sure he will bounce back as and when he feels ready.
You talked of the size of the club. Whoever comes into that job, how much pressure do they face as a manager?
Well, I think like any job, you feel the pressure, because I think once you go to a club, you take on the responsibility of what it means to the people, and so whether it's a size, whatever the size of the club, it still means the same when you take a job, because you have to try and become part of it as much as you can, and own your responsibility. So the feeling will be no different, but that's obviously falls into the guys at Manchester United. What we are doing now is preparing for a game tomorrow, a cup game, chance to get to the quarter-final, and a game that we really want to bring a good performance to try and get the result and get through to the next round. So I'm sure the atmosphere will be really good tomorrow, and we've got to try and thrive in that moment, and that's what we've been talking about the last day or so, and we're looking forward to getting down there.
Van Nistelrooy obviously was a huge player for United. He'll get the chance, it looks, to lead them tomorrow night. How much harder does it make your preparations in terms of knowing how he'll maybe set them up, how he'll ask them to play?
Yeah, well, we won't overthink that, if I'm being honest, because if you do, then I think you can end up going loads of places that might be miles away from what it ends up being. It's I think when you come up against a change of manager, I think it's a really good challenge internally to show how good your own work is as a team, in terms of your ideas of play, both with and without the ball, because really if you get it right, you should be able to adapt to anything that you face, and that'll be no different to tomorrow. So there's even more reason, because of what you said in the question, to focus on ourselves. Man United got brilliant players that can make a difference in every area of the pitch, both with and without the ball, and we have to be ready for that. But we also know that we got players that can have good moments as well, and can have impacts on games, and we got to make sure that we take that opportunity.
You made a lot of changes to your starting lineup in the previous rounds. Can we expect to see that again?
Maybe, yeah. I think the difference with this one is that it's an away game on Wednesday, and then we go away again to Ipswich on the weekend. So it's times like this where it's good that you have a squad because it gives you decisions to make. And if we feel like we need to utilise the squad over the 2 games, then we will do that. But one game at a time, and very much want to win every game that we play, and that's a mentality. And all focus. I know I've alluded to Saturday, but all focus really is on tomorrow, and making sure that we really commit to what's required to making it a positive night.
And is it important to try and start building some momentum again, given the positivity you had going into the game against Forest after that setback now?
Yeah, it was a setback, but it won't be. If you look at the Southampton game and the Forest game, I think that they're great examples of what will probably come as well in the future. Of this season, I think we will have games where we get really good results, and the world feels like a brilliant place, and we'll get the opposite as well, like we did against Forest, because that's the nature of the league that we're playing in and where we're at. So what we've got to do is make sure that we stay on task, we stay on track, which we are. We're really disappointed with how we let the game slip away from us on Friday, because at half-time it was really there to go and take advantage and get a win. But it was on us, like I said, straight after that we didn't do that, and we know that. So that was disheartening, really, especially when I watched the game back. But we have to accept it, as difficult as that is, and we never want to accept defeat too easily, but make sure that at the same time it doesn't deter us from the journey that we know we're on. But that journey will be full of ups and downs. There's no doubt about that. And for me, I've experienced it before, and I will experience it in the future. And I know whatever's gone has only got to be used to make you stronger going forward, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And that's what we're really committing to now this week.
Thanks, Steve.
You too. You, Kirsty. Thank you. Owen. Hi,
Steve.
Hi, mate. You all right?
Just on Manchester United, you talked to Kirsty a little bit there about the preparation. Does it have to change with Eric Ten Hag leaving Manchester United, or do you expect a similar kind of set-up, tactic, style, etc.?
Well, it hasn't changed, because we believe that if we get our game right, it can have a positive influence on any game that we play. Of course, you have to understand the opponents and dangerous players and everything else that forms a game plan. But the biggest part of our game plan, and it's where we're striving to get to, is that our game becomes the dominant factor in every game that we play. So that's the change for tomorrow. I think that there's always context to a game. The context to tomorrow is that it's a cup game, so we go from league to cup. Is that there's been a change of manager with interim going in, and that can add something to the atmosphere and all that sort of stuff. So we're very much aware of that. But it hasn't changed our objective. It hasn't changed what we want to do in the game, and that's the bit that we can influence. So I wouldn't say. Of course, it's a talking point, with a changing manager. But I wouldn't say it's been something that we've are overthinking or even spending too much time focusing on. We're more focused not on how we get us right for the game, because as I said, we are striving every day to improve, and knowing that when we get to the levels that we will get to, then it'll be a really positive thing.
How do you assess Manchester United at this time and the threats that they'll pose on Wednesday night?
Well, the players don't change, do they? And they've got real. Well, they've got real quality everywhere in terms of how they play, but they've also got players that can, as you'd expect, that can really sort of change moments from nothing to something, whether it be through the athleticism or the talent. So, but they're not on their own in the Premier League. We get that every game that we play. It's an away game, and that obviously can influence as well. So, they got good players and players who've got experience as well as some younger players and that know their way around cup competitions and certain situations. So we need to be ready for that. But as I go back to, we're whereas whatever's happened at United in the last couple of days hasn't really deterred us. Maybe put a bit even more of a focus on them. I think that's fair to say, because of the sort of attention that the club gets. But we'll just go about our work quietly and look forward to bringing it to the game.
You talked a little on this already around the chance of getting to the quarter-final of a cup competition. What would that mean to you?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, and it meant a lot to get through the other rounds as well, because I don't think we might have made changes in the last games, and we believe in the squad of players here, and we want to give the right opportunities at the right moments. But it's a culture and a mentality. I don't think it's something that you can just choose to turn on and off day by day or game by game. I think it's something you have to commit to every single day, and you'll never get it all right, as we know. Nobody does. But if you commit to the right things every day, then I think over the course of time you gradually get better. So our approach to any game that we play is that we want to be our best, and this game is very different to the two previous games. We're playing lower league opposition. So, but that's the beauty of a cup, you get drawn to with whoever you do, and then you home away, and then you attack it as you see fit. But our way is to approach every day and every game with the same expectations of standards and performance levels, etc., etc. When we get there, we taught the players why it looks so good, and when we don't get there, we also address that as well. And that's that.
I wanted to touch on the system we saw last time out against Nottingham Forest. We saw Ricardo joining the midfield as an inverted fullback rather than the winger, and the wingers had a job to stay wide. I wonder, when you look back on it now, having watched the game back, how you felt it worked and your assessment on that.
Well, I think there was, for sure, first half. Once the game settled, we really controlled the game in terms of, it was two styles playing against each other. There was no doubt about that, and we felt that we put ourselves in the first half in a position to really go and attack the second half and have an even bigger impact than what we did in the first half. But we all know that wasn't the case. We sort of made some mistakes, and not just with goals, but with other moments that sort of shifted momentum the other way. So we sort of allowed the game to look like how they wanted it as opposed to us. So first half, I could say that we did some really good things that set up nicely to the momentum of the game. Would have loved to have been more creative in the final third, but that's always the case. It was just a pity that we didn't sort of capitalise on the position we put ourselves in half time by doing what we did and letting it slip away from us. But in terms of what you said about the profile of positions in certain areas, it was different, as you said, but the ideas and the actual formation of shape that we got ourselves in was the same. It's just and that's what we have. We have variety to put different players in different positions within our system, both with and without the ball, and that's part of a game plan.
I was going to ask whether that is a system we may see more often in that style, but I guess what you just touched on there, it does add a different element to the way that you want to play, and that could be useful in games that become both attacking, defensive.
Yeah, and I think that is the modern game where you have tweaks and you adapt, but within your structure and your ideas. And listen, we know that we are getting better, and that sounds like we're like really underperforming, or like we're not at the level we should be, and sometimes we haven't been, but a lot of times we have done a lot of good things as well. We just want to get to be a really sort of strong, competitive Premier League team, and that comes with time, but it also comes with delivering when it counts, and that's on match days and every day, and you've got to be seen to be making progress even when the results are not what you want, or there are some poor parts of performances, and we've had that. There's no doubt about that. But we've also had good parts of performances, and we've had some positive results as well. And I think that will probably continue. Both of them things. Let's hope we have more good days than bad days, and that's what will happen when we get it right over time. I mean, our identity and our way. But yeah, I see great commitment from the guys. I see a good understanding. As I said, it's about delivering when it counts, and that's a match day.
Steve, thank you very much. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Owen.
Thank you.
Charlie.
Thanks, Steve.
You're known for your man management skills.
Am I?
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, mate.
And so, given you had the huge high of the result at Southampton, and then you've got that low of the setback against Forest, have you had to, I'm going to say, earn your money even more this week than you otherwise usually would, but how much extra focus have you had to put in this week into just kind of make sure that the ship stays balanced?
It can be harder after highs, to be honest. And sometimes not, sometimes it is, because that's when maybe complacency kicks in, or your mind can wander off into different places. And for me personally, when I know that when maybe a team's going through a good moment, you get a positive result, that I get paranoid about keeping it working even harder. It's easy to work hard when you lose a game or you have a setback. For me, it comes naturally. Aim to be at your very best in the low moments. That's what I think. That's the requirements of doing a job like this. It's not shying away from difficult moments. It's standing up and being counted. So I sort of, for me, I won't say worry, but even more obsessed about working hard and being the best I can be and giving my best, maybe after a positive result, because the thought of complacency and thinking you've cracked it is it gives me the shivers. So. But reality is that I and the team and everybody else is going to have to deal with all of them things. We already have, look at the last two games. So, and if you don't like the lows and the poor results and the setbacks, then don't put yourself in this world of, Premier League football particularly. So, you got to take it as it comes. You got to bring it on if you like, and try and be consistent. Whatever's happened in the past. And like I said, the most important thing for me is dealing with the present and looking forward and moving in the way that you've committed to in terms of the plan.
I remember you saying to me previously when you enjoyed a good cup run in this competition that one hand can wash the other, in the sense of a good cup run can help a good league run. Do you still believe that, and is that what you're hoping that you can get out of this squad this season?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Choose not to have a good cup run? We'd love to have one. And I think that they can. If you have a good cup run, I think there's so many good things to be gained from it beyond staying in the competition and getting further towards the final, if you like, and the excitement of going to Man United and winning and getting to a quarter final is what we all want, and then if we can do that, then you get even excited even more. So. No, you got a plan to win every single. It doesn't mean that you don't utilise the squad, and you got to manage a bit of a wider situation. And I think in what's, if I'm being honest, what's coming for the rest of the week, I think we've got to show the usage of our squad, what that looks like in either game. We'll see. But I'd love to have a really good cup run. I think it'd be brilliant for the club, brilliant for the players. But the next step is tomorrow, and really big. Obviously, the context has changed a little bit, but one that we've got to thrive in.
You mentioned that on United, players stay the same, but there could be a bounce there. You never know. There could be a bounce in the atmosphere as well.
I think there will be. Yeah, it will be. But we're expecting that, and like I said, that's it's a brilliant challenge for us. And you're right. It's a brilliant challenge for us. So, let's go for it. There's two ways of dealing with these. It's like, do you fear it or do you really back yourself? We've got to back ourselves.
I was just going to ask, does it place a greater emphasis on how you start the game, take the crowd out of it, that type of thing?
Yeah, but we've talked a lot of starts, haven't we, and first and second halves this year, and rightly so, maybe finishes at times as well, and everything in between. But but you always aim for that. You always aim for that, and we've seen us do it well this year, and obviously we've seen us not do it well at all. And but we always go into a game, wanting to start well. Just got to make sure that it happens.